We're back. I felt the need to continue with the Obi-Wan show since I did do a review for the first 2 episodes. So, and I think this will be good for me because I've had some issues after the first couple episodes. Clearly, if you watched the last video, you know that it was not my favorite. So, I definitely figure I'm going to give it a shot, ride this one out, and see what happens, and hopefully it does get better. Which was my initial thought and hope. And to be fair, this episode was better than episode 1 and 2, but that's not saying very much based off of, again, how much I like the first 2 episodes. So we are talking about Obi-Wan, the series, episode 3. There will be many spoilers that come up with this one, because mostly this is meant to see if I'm just crazy or just talk it out. You know, I just want to talk it out a little bit and really kind of bring my feelings on the episode to a point and see how that goes. So it is better. There was some pretty good stuff in it that happened. There's some cool scenes. I will say, again, throughout the entirety of the show so far, there's been several scenes that I've gotten to and like, man, that would be like a cool poster to have, something like that. But there's also been a lot of pretty questionable graphics and CGI sometimes. Some of the practical stuff looks kind of cool. I know they had I believe it was Zach Braff or somebody that was in a whole bunch of prosthetics that was playing one of the characters in this week's episode. But end all be all, I've just not had an excessively good experience with this. So what I'm going to run down real quick is just kind of what happened in the episode and then kind of some of the flaws and or good things that I thought about it. So the episode kind of picked up wherever the other one ended. They kind of had escaped from whatever planet they were on. I can't even remember now because it all just kind of blends together of ooey gooey crappiness. So they got away from the Inquisitors. Okay. And they got away from, is it Reva? Inquisitor Reva, the third sister, whatever her name is. I know as of late, just because on social media and especially Star Wars has made it very evident that there have been some perhaps racist claims made against the actress that plays Reva. I think it's Reva. Which of course is horrible if that's the case and that's what happened. For me, when I talk about her character in this show, it's nothing racially driven with it. It's the fact that I am looking towards being entertained by a good quality show with good acting and good writing and good story and things like that. So I'm not going to put the fault on anybody specific about certain characters or why they're in this show or how they're acted or how they're directed. But let's just say that I'm aware that there's been a lot of rebuttals coming from people, and honestly to me, and this might be the conspiracy theorist in me, but go ahead and just listen up for a sec. That granted, there's been a lot of, and there still will be a lot of very racist people in the world, and they will say things that are hurtful and with the intent of doing that. But for me watching this show, honestly what it looks like is Star Wars has been kind of mailing it in with the story, which just baffles me because this is, in my opinion, you have Obi-Wan, you have known characters, known really important people from everybody's childhood or, you know, their whole life growing up. If it's Obi-Wan, if it's the original Obi-Wan from the original Star Wars trilogy, or if it's Ewan McGregor from the prequels, let alone Darth Vader, who just transcends all different types of genres. Again, pretty much everybody knows who Darth Vader is. And you're given an opportunity to take a snapshot at a time because you already know where currently in the story both these characters are. Spoiler, I already said spoilers, they're dead. And they've had a whole lot of arcs that came and went with those. But you have an opportunity to kind of present them in maybe not their prime, probably Vader's prime or pretty close to it. I mean, Rogue One, I think, that really added, in my opinion, to Darth Vader's legacy when you get to see him basically be like Michael Myers in a hallway with force powers. And it's just very intimidating and scary, more or less. And you take that opportunity that you have, that people have been excited for and talked about for a long time. I mean, there's been discussions about Ewan McGregor, reprising his role in movies and multiple different venues to try and bring the character back. Because I think he does really like Obi-Wan as well. And I do like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. or it did. And it just really looks like they didn't take it seriously. And I think, so my conspiracy, to get back to the whole Reva thing, is I think this might be some sort of a slight deflection tactic to get away from the fact that maybe they just didn't put a lot of effort or good writing into this show, because it's not just her character that's not good. Her character is not good and annoys the crap out of me. But I guess that's how the character is written, because she seemingly, I mean, she's not making up these lines. I'm assuming the actress, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but so I'm not blaming her by any means. I'm blaming Disney, because, and whoever created Star Wars, because what this has effectively done, in my opinion, is it's definitely lessened my opinion of both Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in various ways. Not getting more complexity for, you know, the depth of their characters and their arcs and things like that. Maybe I shouldn't jump to conclusions. This is the third episode. I think there's 6, so maybe some things can change, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's jump back real quick. So they get to this new planet, Obi-Wan and young Leia, who again is, she was less annoying in this one. She still talks like she's a 30-year-old, even though she's supposed to be 10 and looks like she's 5, because she can barely walk and like run. Again, her running away from people and getting away consistently still bugs me. I was talking to my buddy, and he was saying that, well, maybe she's just using the Force. That's how she knows all these things about Obi-Wan's history, or who Obi-Wan knew in the past, or, you know, why they were chasing. Again, like I said in the previous video, there was a time where she just sat there, seen one thing, and knew the entire plot of the story. And again, Disney treating us like kind of idiots. They have to expel out everything that's happening. So that did continue in this one. But my friend told me that, well, maybe she's just tapping into the Force and she doesn't even know it, which could be true. It still doesn't help, because it's just not good. The exposition that's in there is just bad. There's a couple good scenes. Like, again, I liked him with her, Obi-Wan with her in this episode was better, because they had some dialogue that wasn't just her being the dictator about everything and trying to prove her worth. I don't even know what it is, but this was a little bit better. He talked about, you know, what it's like to use the Force and things like that, which I thought was really good. Camera angles and stuff on this show are a little odd, which maybe I'll talk about later, but I've got a good bit to get to. I actually made notes because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss out on some of the things that I've been thinking about, because I have been thinking about this more so than I probably should as a grown adult. But they get to this planet. They are supposed to rendezvous with somebody else that's going to help them get out of the system, based off of, I don't remember the other guy's name. It was the fake Jedi in the second episode that ended up helping them get off the planet when all the Inquisitors were after them. But he wasn't trusting him anyway, so he's like, okay, he's not coming. We're just going to take this transport ship that comes over, and it's obviously it's an Empire sympathizer. That's the character that I believe it's Zach Braff, the guy from Scrubs, is playing. It's just kind of a very dim-witted, seemingly happy person, but, you know, just talks about the Empire. The dialogue is just horrible. Oh, I was just so glad the Empire's here, and blah, blah, blah. And you got Leia, yeah, we just love the Empire. It's fine. Again, maybe it's a little more geared towards not me. It's okay. I mean, I just grew up with Star Wars, so I don't know why it wouldn't be geared towards me, but it's all fine and well. You know, they got the cover story there, father-daughter, maybe granddaughter, as she says, which was a little funny. Traveling, they were visiting family, now they're going back to the planet trying to get off world. He picks up some stormtroopers. Stormtroopers kind of start interrogating him a little bit. And again, Leia's able to answer questions better than Obi-Wan. The show successfully makes Obi-Wan very incompetent for most of the time, and more or less look like an idiot. Again, maybe some things are going to change. Maybe there's a little arc coming, but it's 6 episodes, so something's probably going to have to happen pretty quickly. Anyway, they're on there, and, you know, they're getting ready to get found out, and, you know, they go through this whole story of, oh, I don't even remember what they go through. I just remember there's quite a few of them there. You know, they get off, they go to the next, they lie their way through it. You know, he can't even just do the, we are fine, or we are the Empire sympathizer, whatever. He could have done anything with his little Jedi thing. Granted, I know he's not super in tune with it right now, but I would think that'd be one of the more easy things to do. He's done it a lot in the past. Anyway, they get off there, they go to the next check-in gate, And turns out old homeboy, Zach Braff, the guy that was driving the creature, the effects did look kind of cool. He had like these weird finger things like over his mouth. It was kind of weird. Kind of neat. Very Star Wars-y. Turns out he's not as stupid as he makes off and says, hey, you probably want to check these guys out. I just picked them up. I know you're looking for a Jedi, because that's also what the stormtrooper said. They were looking for a Jedi, and oh, I don't even know what a Jedi looks like. Obi-Wan was very, very good at lying about it, I guess. So anyway, they get to this gate checkpoint where I guess it's where you get into the town to be able to then get on the rocket or the ship and get out of there. He tells them that you might want to check these guys out. They check them out. There's a drone flying up, and it's obviously going to show that it's Obi-Wan, because the Inquisitors sent out drones to go over and see, because Vader's really looking for Obi-Wan, which makes sense. But right before we check that, the droid takes the picture, scans it, sends the info back to the Inquisitors. Then Obi-Wan decides to shoot with his blaster. That, and I believe it's 3 or 4 stormtroopers, maybe more. It's at least 3 or 4. So he takes them out, a combination of pistols and hand-to-hand stuff. So from the first couple episodes where he got beat up a little bit, he's doing a little better this time. He's definitely taking on several of them by himself. You know, actually, again, this is where some of the old traditional things do ring true of the stormtroopers are just horrible shots, because, I mean, they can't hit shit. But there was a cool thing where Obi-Wan does shoot one, and it falls into the laser gate that's there, apparently, and just, like, slices in half, which was it was actually really cool, but pretty graphic and kind of violent, which is another thing. I don't know where this show, what it's trying to be with violence and stuff like that, because half the time the fights are just garbo, where in the first episode you have Obi-Wan just kind of shooting at these couple people and they're not really getting hit, and even when people get hit they just kind of fly back, and you know, it's the traditional, you know, they get hit in the armor and they're dead or they're knocked out, whatever it may be. They're sleeping. But no, this one he just got literally cut in half, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Doesn't seem like it should be in this show, because it's, again, very offsetting. I guess they had a couple limbs when Reva cut off the hand of the one lady, but that was also very almost out of place in that scene. Could be cool. Again, I think they just need to pick if they're going to go a little more heavy and hard or really, really kiddie. I don't know. I think ultimately I'm also comparing this to like Mandalorian, which I shouldn't. Actually, I don't know why I shouldn't. They're both Star Wars. They're both, well, I mean, that's not even a known IP, Mandalorian per se, but maybe the original story is the better part of it, and you're not trying to pigeonhole or fit everything into, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But that guy gets cut in half. The Obi-Wan, you know, whoops all these people, takes down the droid, or the drone ship, even though it got the signal out letting them know that he is there. They go into town, or they take down the gate, and they take about 5 steps in, and then there's another shuttle coming up with 3 stormtroopers. 3. And then 1 Imperial person in charge, supervisor, whatever they are. I don't know how you rank them. Not wearing stormtrooper armor. Officer, Imperial officer. Behind him. So Obi-Wan sees him coming. He's got his blaster out and just watches him come. Doesn't even raise it. They lower their ship. They lower the gate down. All 3 of them get out. They draw their guns. They run at him. They keep telling him to get down. He doesn't move throughout this whole scenario. So here's where certain parts of the show just don't logically make sense. Where people, you're getting paid lots of money to write these things, and we're just going to be like, okay, we literally came from a scene where he just single-handedly, Obi-Wan, took down at least 3. I'm pretty sure it was more than that, but at least the same number that just got out of this vehicle, and he's not even going to make an attempt to get away, duck, dodge, anything, attack, fight. He's just going to lay down. We're just going to lay down, and, you know, it'll be cool. I'm about ready for this journey to be over, I think is what he was saying. He must have been, because that's the only logical reason that he would do that, or that the show would do that, because it was stupid. Except, of course, the Imperial officer is the other good guy and shoots them in the back. Cold-blooded, by the way. Just shoots them straight in the back. You know, them soldiers were just doing what they were told. Again, like you couldn't see it coming. Clearly, somebody's going to save them. Clearly, this is what's going to happen, even though he's not even putting up a fight. Whatever. So, they get back into town. Some other things happen. I can't remember. I think we get a little more backstory. There was, again, like backstory about Obi-Wan missing his family, or kind of like when Jedis are taken, I guess instead of recruited might be a better word, but recruited away. He talked about his family, and they never really mentioned that, to my knowledge, in Star Wars, so that was kind of neat, and you get a little more reflection on that. The show is just very, very uneven. I mean, it seems like you could have some, again, I'm going to utilize this, but Mandalorian had so many good, heavy scenes with like good acting. I'm going to go back to it. Like Bill Burr is in one of my favorite scenes in the second season. I think that was the second season. And he has this monologue, or dialogue really, but with one of the Imperial officers that was just evil, ends up shooting him and stuff. It was very, very tense, good scene. That's lacking here. I mean, they try to get some of that in some spots, but end all be all, things start to pick up the pace a little bit, which again isn't a bad thing, except if it's leading to shit. So in this case, they get to town, they're trying to get out of there, the Imperial person's helping them. Turns out there is kind of like an underground railroad system, more or less, of people trying to help Jedis escape into the universe and help survive and help people, or whatever. I guess basically there's just certain people in the Empire that realize that, hey, maybe the Empire isn't all good and we should help with that, which is a cool, good storyline. They didn't get much into it, which is also fine because it's supposed to be an Obi-Wan story, which is another critique I have. I don't know why all these Inquisitors and all the Inquisitor stories take up about as much, if not more, time than Obi-Wan's actual story. Okay, so there's more bickering and bantering, speaking of Inquisitors, between the Inquisitors and Reva. I want to say Reva and the other ones that have seniority over her, and it's so weird because from the beginning it seems like all the Inquisitors knew that she doesn't listen, she doesn't want to do what they say, she's going to go out for herself and try and get her goals regardless, which, I mean, granted, it's kind of a Sith way to do certain things, but I don't know why they don't just kill her. Clearly she's, I don't even think they tried to. Apparently she hid the Grand Inquisitor being killed that was Obi-Wan doing it, but nobody cares. Apparently that's just a bat of the eye. Plus that guy, I'm pretty sure, is in Rebels a little bit further down, so we'll see if they retcon that or if they figure out a way to bring him back alive. Again, more banter. She talked to Darth Vader. That was kind of an okay scene because it does reinforce kind of his normal things. He's after Obi-Wan. He doesn't really care about people's pursuits for power and all these other things. He wants what he wants, but he'll kill whoever else. So it kind of reaffirms him a good bit there. Then, bingo bango, they're all there. They're all on this little desert planet where Obi-Wan is with Leia. And Inquisitors take siege of this town because somebody randomly seen a Jedi. They just seen him. They reported that back. So now everybody is centrally located in this one town. And then we get the unveil. Vader walks off the ship. And I'll tell you, that was pretty cool when you have basically the town go still. You get the Inquisitors out there. They're kind of afraid looking. And then you have Vader just comes walking up. And he does look cool. He looks pretty imposing. But they tried to kind of make, if you're familiar with, and hopefully you are if you're watching this, but Rogue One, at the end of Rogue One, there's a scene where Vader just, he chimes in, kills a bunch of rebels, just goes pretty much Terminator on everybody. They kind of tried to mimic that, where he's walking through, being intimidating. He force chokes some people, pulls them out. I think he breaks some necks, drags some people. I think he's trying to antagonize Obi-Wan out because he's clearly very mad at him because he blames everything that happened to him, I think, on Obi-Wan. Which, he's still very angry, so it makes sense. But honestly, it just didn't look good. Like, he didn't seem that imposing. It looked, and I was going to save this for when we get to the actual fight that happens, because, yeah, they actually fight, if you want to call it a fight. It looks like a fan-made film. In my opinion, a lot of it looks like a fan-made film. In my mind, when I'm thinking of the last time Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fought, they were on a volcano planet. What is the name of his planet? Crap, it's where his, he was on the throne too. They did have a throne, which is kind of neat. I didn't know Darth Vader had a throne. Where his temple is, they had this grandiose fight at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and it was pretty good. It was very, very acrobatic. There was lots of layers to it. It was a big fight. And you have this one just feels like a couple people, fans, which I guess they both are fans, took their lightsabers out in the backyard, waited till it got dark, and then filmed it. The fighting, everything that comes from it's just not, it's not cool. It's not good. You go from, it looks like the fighting that was in the original 70s movies, 70s and then the early 80s. So if what they're going for, and I've kept saying this while I was watching it, if what they're going for is to try and mimic the feel of the 70s movies as if it were the 70s, I guess they've been doing that okay. The problem is we have also had the prequels, which had the most acrobatic, cool lightsaber fights possibly ever. I don't know. And then you have the newer ones, which was kind of a blending of more probably realistic lightsaber fighting, and then some blasters, but not as much of the acrobatics as the first one, but definitely more than the original. The original, it was and then you're dead. So they may have pulled that off if that's what they're going for, but to me that just sounds like a cop-out as well. Why would you go for that when you have the availability to make things super awesome? It's baffling and it's agitating. The other big thing, Obi-Wan, okay, I'm not just going to say straight up he's a coward. Although that's what they're trying to make him, it seems like. And it's not even just the running from things. I know he's trying to distract. The plot was he was definitely trying to distract Darth Vader so that the Emperor Turntail person that's helping them escape could get Leia out of there and she'd be safe. I don't know if that's actually his plan, because his plan was he was going to distract him by just running, I guess, even though you have potentially one of the deadliest Force users in the universe. I'm just going to run, even though he runs for a couple of steps and then it's just walking everywhere, just walking to get away. But luckily Vader's walking too, because there's no urgency to the fight. There's, you know, a line or two here. Look what you've become. I'm what you made me. That definitely could have been dialogue from the prequels. That definitely sounds in line with that. But those are really some of the only words that are spoken. There's a couple other ones here and there, but then it's just some shitty fighting, little bits. And when he fights, first off, Obi-Wan just runs away. Yes, he's been in hiding for 10 years. I'm aware of that. And Vader's been probably killing Jedi for 10 years. So there's a difference in training, and in all reality, I'm aware that Obi-Wan should be destroyed in this fight, most likely. But he could put up a little more of a fight, or at least try. I mean, he doesn't even pop his lightsaber. He just runs initially. He pops his lightsaber when he has no choice, when Vader's coming right at him. And it's very, and I should like it, because it's very much so Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, where, you know, you have one person that's running, even though he's mostly walking, in Obi-Wan, and then all of a sudden, there's Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers, and it's just Darth Vader in this case, and he's just super slow, except he never does the killing blow, which, again, maybe he wasn't trying to kill Obi-Wan, maybe he wanted to actually torture him, which we got to a little bit, which is probably the coolest scene, where, again, it's very, so the scene is he spills some oil, gasoline, some whatever it is, as he's choking, force choking Obi-Wan, then he lights it with his saber, then he puts him in the fire and lets him burn a little bit, so he feels what he did on Mustafar. Mustafar was the name of that lava planet. So that was kind of cool when he was rubbing his face a little bit. But even that scene, it's done so, like, everything is so deliberate. He's choking him, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna force over here, and just watches it pour. Everything's in super slow-mo. Like, that scene could have taken 20 seconds, and he's just sitting there and you watch the stuff go, and then he bends down and has to, I wasn't a fan of that one, of how he did it. Den does drag him in the fire. It's kind of cool, kind of vicious, more so than I thought. Again, like we were talking about before, and that dude got cut in half, the stormtrooper on the gate. I don't know, the show knows where it wants to be, if it wants to be in something that's, you know, a little more violent, a little more adult, or if it wants to be kiddie, or if it's trying to be everything for everybody. Either way, he's sitting there burning him pretty good, and then he just force throws him away from the fire, when all of a sudden, now there's a fire between him and Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan gets helped by, I believe, the officer that turned on the Empire. I also didn't really think that, you know, a little bit of fire was going to stop Darth Vader from his ultimate quest for the last decade of getting Obi-Wan. He's got a little bit of fire that I'm pretty sure he could either just put out, or there's these dirt hills that Obi-Wan has been effectively running behind them to hide from him for the last 10 minutes of this fight. He could just puts him over the dirt and go get him. But no, I mean, there's probably more to the story, so they got to fight again. It just, again, plus side is there were some cool scenes, again, like lightsabers at night. A night fight is pretty cool between Vader and him. It just doesn't seem like the same characters that I've seen before, at least the ones that I liked. Maybe my representation of them in my head. Again, they've kind of diminished Obi-Wan a good bit, and I know he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be broken. Everything went badly. But come on, you could do something. And maybe they just didn't have any ideas. That's why they really had to put the Inquisitors in there, because they should almost not be there. I don't know that's one of the bigger complaints of the story, which it is a complaint of mine. The Inquisitors, specifically Reva, just because her story seems like it's annoying and shouldn't be there, and maybe it could be its own show. It's just taking away from Obi-Wan and Vader. That's what I came to see, and it's interesting. So the show ends. I guess they kind of get away. He gets burned a little bit on his shoulder, which is another thing. He was laying in fire, like a literal thing of fire, for probably, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, and didn't even singe his hair, not even his beard, anything like that. But he got a little burn over here, very specific. The logic isn't always there in this show, specifically with this one is what I'm getting at. So, end all be all, I think it's not adding to the Star Wars lore. If anything, this is taking away between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. Well, at least for Obi-Wan. I mean, they're going to have to fuck up Vader a little bit more for me to really not like him, but I don't know. They're definitely making him less sympathetic. I mean, the whole point of, Anakin being very torn, and yeah, I know Darth Vader's a bad dude and he does a lot of bad things, and I guess maybe that's the point. But you always kind of want to still root for Vader and know that in the end, because we do know in the end that he does kind of repent and comes to the light side at the end, even though he kills all these people meaningless and randomly. But I don't know. I don't think the show is for me, but I am going to be committed to finishing the series and seeing how it goes. So we'll have another review back shortly, but I definitely think that I hope the second half of the episodes of the season, 4, 5, and 6, if it's 6, I think it is 6, are much, much better. Maybe they've been leading up to something. I'm sure there'll be a little arc where, Obi-Wan gets his confidence back and, becomes not a baffling buffoon for most of the show. But we'll see. Alright, so don't forget, like, share, subscribe if you feel similar. If you don't, and maybe you do like the show, maybe it is geared towards you and it's just not ringing true with me. But I know there was another show, Netflix, good old Stranger Things. Actually, hair today is in response to that. Amber made sure that I would have curlier hair today so it could be reminiscent of, what is his name in the Derek? I can't remember his name in the show. Either way, he was cool. Check out Stranger Things. Maybe I'll do a review of that one at some point because it was awesome. Peace. You.